You ever send a text you thought was crystal clear, only to have your friend end up in a totally different spot? Yeah, that mix-up, it's often caused by a really sneaky problem in our language: ambiguity. It's like this little gremlin that loves to tangle up our words, derailing everything from simple plans to really complex arguments.
So here's our game plan. We're going to kick things off with a super common communication glitch. Then we'll look at those tricky words that have double meanings. After that, we'll see how whole sentences can get confusing, how arguments can completely fall apart because of this, and finally, how you can start spotting ambiguity out in the wild. Okay, let's start with a scene we've all been in. You're just trying to meet up with a friend, right? You send a quick text that seems totally impossible to get wrong.
Seems straightforward enough. Let's meet at the bank. We all know what a bank is. Or do we? See, the problem is hiding right there in that one simple word.
And just like that, you're standing by the ATM, wondering where your friend is while they're down by the river's edge. Same word, bank, two completely different places. That, in a nutshell, is ambiguity.
All right, so now that we've seen this thing in action, let's actually put a name to the culprit and define what's really going on here.
So ambiguity is just when our language gives us more than one option. And what's really important to get here is that this isn't usually about someone trying to lie or be deceptive. Most of the time, it's totally accidental. The person speaking just doesn't realize their words could land in a couple of different ways. And believe me, these double-meaning words are everywhere in English. Just think about it. A bat could be an animal or what you use in baseball. Light can mean bright, or it can mean not heavy. Usually the context of the sentence saves us. If someone says, the bat flew out of the cave, they're not talking about a Louisville Slugger. But sometimes that context just isn't there.
Now, this whole issue kind of comes in two main flavors. First, you've got lexical ambiguity. That's a fancy term for what we've been talking about, where one single word, like bank or duck, is the troublemaker. The second kind, syntactic ambiguity, is a little sneakier. Here, it's not the individual words, but the way the entire sentence is built that creates the confusion.
All right, let's level up. Let's see how this confusion can grow from just a single word to a whole tangled up sentence. This is where we get into that second flavor, syntactic ambiguity. Here is a classic textbook example. Just 4 simple words. I saw her duck. Take a second. What could that possibly mean? And boom, there it is. Did I see a woman who owns a pet bird? Or did I see her physically bend down to dodge something flying at her head? See, without any more information, both of those meanings are perfectly legitimate. We're totally stuck without more context.
Okay, your turn. Take a look at this one. Visiting relatives can be annoying. Can you spot the 2 completely different ways you could read that?
So, did you get it? The whole thing hinges on who's doing the visiting. Is the act of going to see your family what's annoying? The travel, the packing, or are the relatives themselves, the ones who are currently visiting you, the source of the annoyance? Again, the sentence structure leaves it totally up in the air. So far, this might all seem like a kind of fun language quirk. But this is where we really raise the stakes. Ambiguity isn't just a communication hiccup. It can be used, sometimes on purpose, to build arguments that sound totally logical, but are actually built on a foundation of sand. Okay, check out this argument. Premise 1, nothing is better than pizza. Yeah, I can get behind that. Premise 2, a soggy sandwich is better than nothing. I mean, sure, if you're starving, a soggy sandwich beats an empty stomach. So, conclusion, a soggy sandwich is better than pizza. Hold on a second. That just feels completely wrong, right? But the steps, they seem to follow each other logically. So what is the trick? How did we start with a love for pizza and end up saying a soggy sandwich is better? And here it is. The trick is the word nothing. It secretly changes its meaning right in the middle of the argument. In that first sentence, nothing means no other food is better. But in the second sentence, it means the total absence of food. And because that key word pulled a switcheroo on us, the entire chain of logic is broken. It's a sham. So here is the crucial takeaway. This is the tool you can use to protect yourself from this kind of flawed logic. Let's call it the ambiguity check. Whenever you hear an argument, just ask yourself, does a key word or phrase change its meaning from one part to the next? If the answer is yes, the whole argument is invalid. It doesn't matter how convincing it sounds. Now that you know what to look for, let's bring this into your daily life, because I promise you, once you learn how to spot ambiguity, you are going to start seeing it absolutely everywhere, especially when someone is trying to sell you something or persuade you. You have 100% heard this phrase before, probably during a commercial for some super sugary kid cereal, part of a complete breakfast. It just sounds so wholesome and responsible, doesn't it?
But let's actually decode what that means. That little phrase, part of, is brilliantly ambiguous. I mean, it could be a tiny, insignificant, sugary part of an otherwise incredibly healthy breakfast that includes fruit and eggs and whole wheat toast. The ad isn't really lying. It's technically true, but it's using that ambiguity to mislead you, to make you think the cereal itself is way healthier than it actually is. But here's the good news in all of this. Ambiguity is almost always fixable. You can learn to be much more precise with your own words to make sure you're not misunderstood. And honestly, being precise like that, it's a key skill for clear thinking and really powerful communication.
So, I'm going to leave you with this question. Now that you know what to look for, where else do you see ambiguity being used to either persuade or just confuse people? In the news headlines you read? In speeches from politicians? How about just in everyday conversations? Keep your eyes and ears open. You might be really surprised by what you find.